So we're going to revise the large intestine, the small intestine and the stomach. And these specific organ mobilizations are something that you do as an add-on to the more general techniques, the circular compression, the deep compressions, the wave, and so on, where you feel you need to release a particular organ more specifically. So you would not start these techniques until the hara is already beginning to feel looser and more open. Okay, so the large intestine, we start the large intestine at the ileocecal corner and we work our way round to the sigmoid corner. So we need to come to the opposite side of the body, and the release for the ileocecal corner, you put the little finger edge of the hand just inside the acis, and you let it sink in, and the other hand is just creating a little bit of support. You let it sink in, and then you're going to scoop upward and outward. And we do that, typically we do that about 3 times. So in, and then this will stretch the lower corner of the colon up, and this will hopefully stimulate the ileocecal valve and clear anything out of the cecum and the bottom part of the ascending colon that's stuck or stagnant. You see how the supporting hand simply creates a static point that you can scoop towards. We can then scoop along the ascending colon. So coming to the outer edge of the colon where you should be able to feel it, and then you just gently mobilize it towards the center line with a scooping action and work your way up and along. As you come up the ascending colon, it moves further and further to the back, so it'll be deeper, and eventually you'll probably lose track of it in most people as it begins to go under the lower ribs. You can also do this with one hand and the other hand giving some counter pressure like this. Then we have the release for the hepatic flexure. So the hands come under. They need to come far enough under that you can lift the rib cage, create some compression in the hepatic flexure area, a little draw across, and then we finish with an up the ascending colon, down the descending colon, a little circle like that. And again, we do this about 3 times. So it's 1, you see that lift and compression, 2, and that just gives a little finish to the movement, 3. Now we should have got a good idea at this stage at what level the transverse colon is looping across. And as for most people, you'll find it's either just below the navel roughly at the navel area. We can use a scooping technique either side of the loop of the transverse colon to gently work it backwards and forwards. Again, it's a kind of mobilizing technique, and we can work our way along that loop. This is an area where a lot of people get congestion, and this again will just help the peristalsis process, help stuff moving through. And for the splenic flexure, we're going to need to move around to the other side of the body. And this is quite similar to the hepatic flexure. I tend to have our hands a little higher, both hands really contacting the lower ribs, because the flexure is a little higher on this side. Again, we get that lift and compression, and then this hand needs to slip across to the other side, so we can then get the up and down circle at the end. And the circle goes clockwise, both for the hepatic flexure and the splenic flexure. See how that hand just moves around so it can then do the concluding circle. We can then do a similar kind of mobilizing scooping on the descending colon, mobilizing it towards the center. You're basically just creating a little movement in the actual tube of the colon to help to move things through, to relax or activate the nerves. Again, we can do this with one hand in a supporting role. And the sigmoid flexure, the action is identical to the ileocecal valve area. So we sink in, we stretch up, and out. And because that's all pretty deep, intensive work, it's good to do some wave and rocking or other general techniques just to integrate everything down. So if we just give you a little clearer idea of what we're doing with these movements, just pop that on there for a moment. As we do the ileocecal valve area, we're trying to really scoop under the cecum and flex the large intestine up and give it like that. And this is to try and get the reflex action in the ileocecal valve and to mechanically move material. As we go along the ascending colon, we're trying to again scoop it and just mobilize it. Just again to stimulate the nerves and mechanically move stuff through. Hepatic flexure again, the compression is to create a squeeze to help things move through and a movement. Similarly with the transverse colon, as we get it between our hands, we're trying to create these kind of movements within it. And similar to the hepatic flexure with the splenic flexure, when we come to the sigmoid, we've got this S shape. This upward movement again is going to create this kind of movement, which will help things to get around the very tight bends here, which is an area where a lot of people get quite strong congestion. So that's what we're trying to do